for us.
TGN Studios writes, Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, who's the better Spider-Man?
For me, Andrew Garfield.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like Tobey Maguire. I think he did a fine job in Spider-Man, but I think it was more the throwback to the old school Spider-Man, and I felt Andrew Garfield was more a modern day one. I felt the way about those movies. I liked them, but they were the old school Spider-Man. I kind of liked the more modern one. Obviously, the second one wasn't that great, but that really wasn't Andrew Garfield's problem.
I thought Andrew Garfield was too cocky to be Spider-Man. I think he's too good looking, had too nice a hair. I love Sans Spider-Man 3. If we're just looking at Spider-Man 1 and 2, Tobey Maguire was the perfect Spider-Man, I think. As much as he stonewalled me in the interview for Pawn Sacrifice, he was good. I think I would always vote Tobey Maguire over Andrew Garfield.
Tiebreaker, David?
Going with Toby. I just
Burn, Dennis.
I'm getting burned left and
I keep getting
right.
up on Dennis this episode. No, I like Toby. I think he was more the classical nerd, look, just goofy. And I think Andrew's he's a great actor.
Sure.
He's just too good looking.
Yeah.
I'm just like, really, you have girl trouble? You?
Are you guys calling Tobey Maguire ugly?
No.
Because in what world is Tobey Maguire ugly?
But Garfield's just like, he's
I
like
mean, I
hunched
feel like
over.
on the same level.
Look at Andrew Garfield could walk into a bar in Silver Lake and girls would throw themselves at him. Tobey Maguire walks in like,
I'm
where's
sure
my book?
that girls I'm with
We're
you,
cutting
Dennis.
this
I'm
clip
with
out.
you.
Send it to Toby.
Yeah, again.
Here's John.
Here goes.
Ask the next question. I'm sorry, I got to jump in and share this one thing. Somebody in the we have our new Twitter logo there.
Oh, there we go.
And we were naming them Cocky the Twitter Bird or Chunky the Collider Twitter Bird. Somebody said in the live chat board, I had to share this because I almost died. Said, and they're making a hashtag out of it, and now it's trending. Send Chunky the Collider Twitter Bird back to Marvel.
All right, what's next?
Marcus Z writes, why are director salaries not as much of a big deal as actor salaries?
Because most of the audience, general audience, not us, but they don't know who the directors are to movies. You know, you do get a Spielberg, Scorsese, Chris Nolan, those big names, but in general, most people don't know. Like, we're talking about like Joe Cornish and Shane Black, even Doug Liman.
Yeah.
Most of the audience don't know who they are. And so part of that money is for the publicity's sake. That's why like there's so many celebrities that do those voiceovers for animation. It's not because they're technically the best voice actors for that role. They just want to use their name, put in press junkets, red carpets, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's for the publicity.
And two, directors usually don't see a lot of salary up front. They see a lot of back end because they put so much on the line to direct these films. I mean, obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, but directors also work way harder than actors do on a movie. Like we were talking about earlier, is like the actors show up, say their lines, they go sit in a chair for the most part unless they're producing. They obviously study their lines and they get in character, but directors are there with the crew. They're there way past. They're looking at dailies. If you talk to any director, the worst part about making the movie is actually making the movie because there's no sleep. They're like NFL coaches. They never see their families. They're 18, 20-hour days making a movie, and then it bombs. I'm surprised there's not more guys just looking at the camera like, I'm going to kill everybody in this room. It's a hard job.
David? Yeah, I mean, that's a great analogy. I think sports is perfect. The coaches don't make, the best basketball player is not going to make as much as the best coach. Like Kobe Bryant is going to make more than Phil Jackson, even though Phil Jackson makes a lot of money.
Sure.
Or did. It's just I think the directors are just behind the scenes. Where Joss Whedon said that he got paid more for one of his earlier films than he did the first Avengers.
No, it was Dr. Horrible. He got paid more for his web series, Dr. Horrible, than he did the first Avengers. However, the second Avengers, he got paid.
Yeah, he got paid. He got paid. Yeah.
He said that was the first time he had gotten like real like Hollywood money.
Hollywood.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Alexander Burton writes, what is the best sequel that improves upon the original?
Terminator 2. That's Aliens. I mean, that's debatable.
Yeah.
But
I mean, everybody knows, if you know me, Bad Boys 2, without a doubt. I mean, that's 100% the greatest sequel ever made, but that's just my opinion.
David?
My two, even though like Alien and Aliens is very close, I actually prefer Godfather 2 over the original Godfather. Just because I love De Niro and Pacino going back and forth.
Yeah.
I love those scenes. And also Born Supremacy. Born Supremacy over Born Identity. I think that trilogy gets better with each one. I love Born Ultimatum, the third one.
I like all three. Yeah,
They're all good.
Third one's my favorite. I actually like the first one more than the second one. But That's just me. All right, what's next?
Sean Wren writes, what's more important to studios, the U.S. box office or worldwide box office?
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, they just care about money. They don't care where it comes from. That's why you get a lot of stuff that's you may think is a huge failure here in the U.S. And that does very well overseas. So
I mean, look at some Avengers. They had a Chinese alternate part in the movie with Chinese actors to sell more in China.
Transformers,
same
I
way.
didn't see this Avengers cut. Was there like a Chinese Iron Man and a Chinese Thor?
No. There was just another character that they threw in there that was like another superhero that was Chinese.
They
and
replaced all the main characters.
Yeah, they're all Chinese guys now. But the international market, that's why it's so hard to sell a story movie that maybe only appeals to America now is because we can't sell it international, so we're not going to make our money back. That's that the international market dominates everything.
Remember, when we were watching Pacific Rim, we were so intently looking at especially the Chinese and Japanese box offices to see what was going to happen because we were waiting for it to hit a certain mark so we could hopefully maybe get talk of Pacific Rim 2 because it wasn't doing that well in the States.
Right.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, you have something like Transformers, that franchise. It's actually domestically going down.
Right.
But internationally, it's going up. So, of course, they're going to re-up those movies.
The last Transformers 4 was awful, and it crushed in China. It crushed overseas.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
A few people are asking this one. It comes from Tyler Scott, and people are asking, why isn't The Force Awakens being shown more in 2D IMAX? I feel like a lot of people would rather see it in 2D.
Again, money. They want to upcharge for the 3D.
$26 to go see a movie with IMAX and 3D. I think that's even like the base price.
Yeah.
There's so much money that goes into those 3D IMAXs. That's why Jurassic World did so well, because everybody went to see it in 3D IMAX. Shot that box office straight through the roof.
David, any other thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I never really care either way, especially out here in LA.
I'm a 2D
Tickets are
guy.
expensive or enough. Yeah, I went to The Martian. AMC Prime, surprisingly, wasn't in 3D.
Yeah, the
It was
new
just in-
AMC Prime they chose not to do 3D.
I like
the
that.
old Prime did, but this
Yeah.
one does not.
I like
Which
that.
means when me and John and Wendy and Ann and who else is going with Schnapp are going to go see Star Wars: The Force Awakens in AMC Prime.
See, I'm going IMAX, so I'm going to see it in 3D. I guess.
Okay.
I'm a 2D guy, so 3D is very it's just busy for me. It kind of takes away a little bit, but that doesn't mean that I'll probably go see it.
But it depends on the film. Like if it's Avatar, or I like the Prometheus. I thought looked really good in 3D too. If the director's shooting in 3D specifically has in mind for 3D shots, then I'm all for it. But if it's just
Which I don't think Force Awakens.
No.
It was shot on film and
Right.
they didn't shoot it in
Right.
3D. All right, one more.
Zachary Sean writes, do filmmakers really need to be familiar with or fans of a particular property to make a good movie out of it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it could help. The one thing is they don't have to be a fan, but I think they should do their research. They should, like, if you're going to let's say you didn't read Batman as a child, but now you've been hired on to be Batman. You probably should go read some of the stuff that, at least the standard stuff, like Dark Knight Returns, Year One, the Killing Joke, that type of stuff, to get yourself familiar with the property, immerse yourself in it, and then go from there. But you don't have to be like a diehard fan.
I was listening to Aaron Sorkin yesterday on KSPN on 710 here in LA, and he was saying that because he wrote Steve Jobs, that that book by the end of the movie was just in tatters because he was constantly using it as source material. Now that doesn't mean that somebody's gonna walk on a set for Batman and have a stack of comic books this time, be like, I read them all. This is what we're doing. But like you said, there's something to be said about respect for the property before, not just to go out and be like, oh, Batman's going to be pink.
But I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean if you're a diehard fan, you're going to make a good movie
No,
or anything
right,
like
true.
that. But
Yeah.
I think you should at least investigate.
I mean, Nolan. The only issue I had with the Batman trilogy that Nolan did, which I thought was incredible, I love the first two, especially Begins and Dark Knight, is that it never felt like a Batman comic book to me. This new trailer this new movie that Snyder's doing feels like a Batman comic book. Nolan did a wonderful job with the films, but I just didn't feel like like I was reading something off the pages. It felt like it was Nolan's interpretation of Frank Miller, because he said that was the one guy like he kind of used some stuff from, but it wasn't like Sorkin at the end where he was taking as reference material page to page. He was doing his thing.
Do you think that the first two Nolan Batmans are more cartoonish than the first two Keaton Batmans? Or
Cartoonish? No.
No.
No. The Keaton ones
not
were,
cartoonish, I mean more comic book-esque.
I think Tim Burton's are more comic book for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, more. I think so. I think I think Nolan's take was to try and make it realistic, try and make it believable, like someone
Right.
would actually go and do this. So,